My daughter texted, "You won't be joining us." My husband prefers to keep it only her family. After I paid for the whole vacation, so I froze the travel fund before takeoff. They boarded the plane. The car didn't. You should understand your place. My wife prefers to keep the vacation just for her family. You've already done your part by paying. That was the text my son sent me at exactly 11:02 p.m. 2 nights before the family trip I had been planning, funding, and dreaming about for 3 years. I sat at the kitchen table, my reading glasses perched on the tip of my nose, the soft hum of the refrigerator, the only sound in the house. I had just finished placing the last set of travel-sized sunscreen bottles into the zippered bags I had labeled by hand, one for each grandchild. My hands were still sticky with tape from wrapping little souvenir bags with keychains that said aloha and grandma loves you. The phone buzzed again. Another message. "Don't take it the wrong way, Mom. It's not personal. It's just simpler this way." I did not reply. I stared at the glowing screen until it went dark. Then I placed it face down on the table. He didn't call. He didn't say thank you. He didn't even bother to lie with kindness. Just a cold, quiet reshuffling of family. I leaned back on the chair, staring at the dim kitchen lights, my heart heavier than it had ever been. I had spent years saving for this trip, thinking it would be the kind of family memory my husband would have wanted us to share. I thought about him often, his smile, the way he always told me I gave too much of myself. If he could see me now, he would probably say I had ignored his warnings, that I had given until there was nothing left, only to be told I wasn't family anymore. The shame burned deeper than anger. I wiped my glasses and looked at the duffel bag I had packed. The sundresses folded neatly, the lavender candle chosen for his memory, the photograph I wanted us all to keep at the center of our dinner on the beach. These weren't just things, they were little pieces of love. But love had been thrown aside as though it were nothing. When the laptop screen blinked awake and I saw the Hawaii travel fund, the number was still there, $21, $763.84. 3 years of effort, late nights tutoring online, old furniture sold, envelopes of crumpled bills hidden away, all because I wanted to give them something magical. I trusted them with everything, even the payments tied to my account. But betrayal has a way of stripping away trust faster than anything. My hands trembled, not with fear but with resolve, as I began freezing every card linked to that account. Cancel, revoke, deny. Each click was like pulling a thorn from my chest. By the time I finished, the money was untouched, but the trip was gone. For the first time that night, I smiled through the tears. They would board the plane expecting everything to be seamless. But this time, I would not be the silent ATM. This time, they would know what it felt like to be left out in the cold. The morning of their flight arrived, and though I wasn't there, I could picture the scene more clearly than if I had been sitting right beside them. I knew Nathan's routine too well. He would have woken early, checked the bags twice, and carried himself with a sense of quiet confidence, trusting that I had planned every detail as perfectly as I always had. Tanya, on the other hand, would be commanding, sharp-voiced, making sure everyone was in line. I imagined her straightening the kids' shirts, tugging on their backpacks, her heels clicking against the airport floor as though she owned it. They would walk up to the airline counter expecting nothing but ease. I had left no cracks in my planning until now. The staff would ask for the card, and Tanya would hand it over with a smile that held just a little too much pride. The smile would falter when the first decline came. A polite, almost rehearsed response from the airline worker would follow. "I'm sorry, ma'am, but the payment isn't going through." I pictured Tanya's brows furrowing, her lips thinning, her eyes starting toward Nathan. He would try to stay calm, offering his own card, but of course, the reservations weren't tied to him. They were tied to me. Only me. Another decline. More keystrokes on the computer. More whispers exchanged between staff at the counter. The family behind them in line beginning to sigh and shuffle impatiently. Tanya's voice rising now, insisting there must be some mistake. The worker's tone remaining professional, but the message clear. There was no record of any valid payment. By now, the children would be restless, tugging at sleeves, asking questions. Why can't we go? Didn't Grandma say we were going to Hawaii? And I knew that was the part that would sting Nathan most. the innocence in their voices, the disappointment building in their little faces. He would realize in that moment that I had been the foundation beneath every dream he was trying to live. Without me, the structure crumbled. They would scramble, pulling out phones, calling the villa, the tour operators, the transfer service. Each call would end the same way, with confusion, with rejection, with the news that no payments had cleared. The luau seats? Cancelled. The snorkeling lessons? Unpaid. The beachfront villa? Freed up for another family. Piece by piece, like dominoes, the fantasy would collapse. Tanya's carefully constructed image of control would shatter, and Nathan would finally see what betrayal felt like. I wasn't there to watch, but I didn't need to be. My phone told the story in its own way. The first call buzzed at 6:47 a.m., Nathan's name glowing on the screen. I let it ring. The second call came from Tanya. I let it ring too. Then the flood began, call after call, messages piling up. At first, they were sharp with confusion. Mom, what's happening? The cards aren't working. Then frustration. Why would you freeze the account? Do you realize what you've done? Then desperation. Please, Mom, the kids are crying. Just fix this. Just this once. But just this once was what they had been saying my entire life. Just pay this bill. Just cover this cost. Just watch the kids. Just sacrifice your time, your dreams, your peace. It had always been just this once until there was nothing left of me but an open wallet and a silent presence. I put the phone face down on the table, the screen buzzing against the wood like a trapped insect, and I let it die out on its own. Hours passed, and the messages grew longer, more emotional. Nathan finally sent one that I read all the way through. Mom, you've ruined everything. The kids don't understand. They were so excited, and now they're heartbroken. Tanya's furious. Why would you do this to us? Why would I do this to them? The question rolled around in my mind like a stone skipping across water. I hadn't done this to them. They had done it to me first. They had erased me, silenced me, stripped me of the title of family after I had spent my entire life building theirs. They had treated me like an outsider in the very home I created for them. I had simply let them taste the consequences of what life was like without my sacrifice. That night, the house was quiet again, just the steady tick of the clock on the wall. I lit the lavender candle I had once planned to take to the beach. Its soft scent filled the kitchen, and I closed my eyes, imagining my husband's hand resting over mine. You finally did it, I whispered to him. You finally let them see. The phone buzzed once more, and this time, I opened the message. It was Nathan again, but his words were different now. I'm sorry, Mom. I didn't realize how much this meant to you. We shouldn't have left you out. Please, let's talk. For a brief moment, my heart ached. The mother in me wanted to forgive, to rush in and mend the broken pieces. But then I remembered the text that started it all. You should understand your place. Those words were carved deep into me, and forgiveness would not erase them. The next morning, I booked a ticket. Not to Hawaii. Not to the villa or the island I had once dreamed of. I chose somewhere new, somewhere untouched by memories of betrayal. Italy. A small village I had read about once in a travel magazine, where the hills rolled green and the streets smelled of fresh bread. For the first time in my life, I planned a trip for myself alone. No children to please, no in-laws to impress, no schedules to manage. Just me and the world waiting quietly to be discovered. I started small. A list of places I wanted to see. A map pinned above my desk with little circles around towns that caught my eye. I called the travel agent, the same one who had patiently helped me plan Hawaii, and told her this time it was just one ticket. Her voice warmed on the other end of the line, and for once, I felt like the star of my own story. In the days that followed, I noticed something shifting inside me. The shame that had clung to me like a heavy coat began to slip away. The quiet ache of being unwanted softened. I cooked for myself, played old records my husband used to love, walked through the park near my house, and noticed the flowers blooming. Little things, simple things, became treasures again. Nathan called again a week later, his voice heavy with regret. I let it go to voicemail. His apology was longer this time, more heartfelt, but it came too late. Tanya never called again. I suspected she was too proud, or perhaps too angry to admit she had pushed me too far. That was fine. I no longer needed her approval or her place at the table she had set for herself. When the day of my flight finally arrived, I packed light. No souvenir bags, no carefully labeled sunscreen bottles, no extra touches for anyone else. Just a few dresses, a journal, and the lavender candle. As the plane lifted into the sky, I looked out the window at the clouds below me and felt something I hadn't felt in years: freedom. In Italy, I walked cobblestone streets, ate pasta at small cafes, and sat by myself in quiet churches where the light streamed through stained glass and painted my hands with color. I wrote in my journal every night, not about what I had lost, but about what I was finding myself. Nathan would keep calling. Tanya would keep whispering. The family would move on, creating their own stories without me. But I had written a new chapter, one where I wasn't erased, one where I was more than a line item on a budget. For once, I wasn't the mother who paid. I was the woman who chose herself.